The first step is absolutely knowing and understanding the role that you're recruiting people into from the outcomes the role is here to cause. Okay. So design the role around what are the outcomes this role is here to cause. And I say that because I think the outcomes are more enduring than processes and inputs and outputs. So the outcomes are more enduring.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and get to the outcomes through why questioning. So why does this role exist? What are the relationships that are needed? Why are those relationships important? Why is that, in terms of the role, why is that important in this role? And know where the role hands off to someone else. So clear about the outcomes this role is here to cause, as opposed to another role and what that's here to cause.
And how do you go about doing? How would you recommend going about that?
Worked with senior leaders for the particular role and asked them to define the role, their aspiration for the role. What would that role be if it was performed at its best? So senior leaders, managers of existing role holders and some role holders. So I'm really trying to kind of work the why question with those, and then get to the point of writing up the role on the basis of what we've heard and feeding it back to them, and a couple of iterations through that process. So, for example, for us, one of the nuances in understanding why a claims role existed was about managing customer confidence. And it was something, the word confidence had never been used in a role profile before.
Okay, yeah.
But if you think about a claim setting in an insurance company, often people are in a state of some form of shock, or they're out of equilibrium, aren't they? Something's gone wrong in their life, whether it be a physical thing like a car accident, or whether it be the loss of a loved one. Something very, very impactful has happened to them. So how does a claims handler deal with the call when it comes in, not knowing what emotional state somebody will be in at that point, and there will be some for whom it's a very functional call. I just need to get this, I've just hit a bollard as I've reversed the car into the car park and I'm angry about it, I just need to know what I need to do. And for some it will be of a significantly more emotional call than that. How does a claims handler discern what the customer needs and then respond to those needs? And how do they, through the whole cycle of the claims process, manage and maintain the customer confidence? What is it a manager needs to, the customer needs to know and understand at each stage of that process? So rather than just having claims settlement, for example, as part of the outcome, actually managing customer confidence through the process was an outcome. And that hopefully that just gives you an illustration of this shift in thinking that then causes you to say, so what's the nature of the person that we would recruit into this role that not only will understand the technical nature of the claim that they're handling, but also be able to manage customer confidence. And then they've got to deal in the volume environment as well. So it's kind of what's the whole person that we're recruiting here that will be able to deal with the environment and the nature of the work that we're asking of them. So having clarified the outcomes, and I think that is the most critical point. Get that wrong and you'll be crafting the wrong strengths. So craft those role outcomes and invest time and energy in doing that so you really know and understand what you're looking for. From that, then identify who are the people in our organisation who do perform in the way that we're looking for in those role outcomes, and identify what their strengths are, so we can then say those are the strengths that we're looking for. And then get down to a granular level of, and it probably is still only 6 to 8 strengths, because any more than that would become too cumbersome for interview process, But what are the 6 or 8 strengths that genuinely differentiate our high performers in this role from the rest? And then in the interview, know what it is you're looking for. So a strengths-based interview, you would have some look-fors or listen-fors, so you know the nature of what you're looking for. And score against each question so that you can see numerically what's the difference between people. And the scoring, I think, is really powerful. So what we found when we recruited in a volume site where there was high intense recruitment process, we found a score of 125 plus and 85 minus, and there was a gap of 40, and we had no candidates that actually scored between 85 and 125, which was stunning. So what HR often faces, the bums on seat mentality from managers, I need to recruit 50 people, and 50 becomes the number, and you make sacrifices along the way about the nature of person you're prepared to recruit. With the score difference, our managers were not prepared to recruit anybody who scored 85 or below. We actually, in this particular situation, it was 50 that we were looking for. We recruited 40 because 40 had scored 125 and above. And we never recruited the extra 10. We never needed to. The performance of the 40 just surpassed expectations. So, but it really gave managers confidence in saying, no, why would I make those sacrifices just to recruit? So, outcomes: define the strengths by identifying the differentiating strengths for your high performers. Know what you're looking for in interview, and measure in interview. I think the other thing that we did was we had one question in the interview, which was, how has this interview been for you? And rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. And if we were interviewing somebody who had the strengths for the role, they scored 8 or above on that question, because they felt they'd had an opportunity to talk about themselves, to share the best of themselves through the interview process. If it wasn't a role that was going to ask for somebody's real strengths, then what people were saying was, I don't feel like I've been able to express the real me. And that became a great question for us as almost a summary question to say, how's our scoring doing? So that was quite useful. And then when people come into the organisation, really onboard them in a strengths-based way. So really help them understand the nature of the strengths that they bring to the role.